Hello?
Hello, Mauricio. It's Rob Tebbutt from Boxing Social.
Hello, good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Let's just go straight into it then, Mauricio. First things first, yesterday we were all very surprised to hear that the WBC have ordered Vasyl Lomachenko to face Luke Campbell for the vacant title. Quite a surprise to a lot of people. Just explain to me the decision behind that.
Well, the WBC received proposals to consider regarding the vacancy at the lightweight division. One of the proposals was from Vasyl Lomachenko himself, explaining that he has always had the dream to fight for the WBC green belt, and he asked the WBC to consider him as one of the co-challengers for the vacant title. We received another proposal from Luke Campbell, in which he wanted to fight against Devin Haney. And we received also a couple from Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney himself. So the WBC goes through a procedure which is a vote by the Board of Governors. And the selection was to approve the proposal the request received from Vasyl Lomachenko, considering his stature as a multi-division champion and as a major fighter in the world. And this will lead to a very good match, respecting Luke Campbell, who has been the mandatory of the division. So we matched Lomachenko with Luke Campbell, who is the fighter who has the rights to contend for the title.
Right, okay. I was actually with Luke Campbell yesterday when the news broke about the order from the WBC. And as I say, he was quite surprised. And I think Luke was quite surprised because he, as you say, has been mandatory, I believe, since September. He's been waiting for Mikey Garcia's decision to vacate his title from lightweight. Luke was expecting it to be either Devin Haney or Zurab Delayev. I think a lot of people are confused, Mauricio, because it's not... There is no precedent, particularly with the WBC, for an unranked fighter, particularly an unranked champion from another governing body, to come in and challenge for a vacant title. So do you see why people are confused by that? As I say, there's no real precedent for this in the past.
Well, he should be honored and happy to have such a high-level fight for the championship. And, of course, there is precedent. And to the contrary, the WBC rules and the WBC rankings do have every champion ranked. Lomachenko is ranked as a champion of the WBA and WBO, I believe. So he is in the rankings, and he is eligible to fight for the WBC if so he desires. And there are many precedents of this situation. A couple of years ago, we mandated our champion, Adonis Stevenson, to fight against Kovalev as mandatory contender. So to have a champion of another organization to accept to participate as challenger in a WBC match has to be praised instead of the other way around. It's humbling for the WBC to see a great champion and to see fighters of such high stature want to compete for our belt. I don't know what Luke Campbell would say or would think, but we have preserved his rights as mandatory contender, and he's participating in the championship for the WBC title.
I think it's probably worth me mentioning, Luke was actually very excited to box Vasyl Lomachenko. It wasn't like he wasn't upset. He wasn't, and I think the word that I keep being drawn back to here is just confusion. purely because, I mean, as I understand it, Vasyl Lomachenko wasn't ranked in the top 15 of the WBC, so it is quite confusing how that would come to pass. Was there not a situation where, as I say, with Campbell and Haney, etc., having waited for a number of months to decide where Mikey Garcia was going to...
No, Haney, they have not waited for anything. The only person with rights is Luke Campbell. And Luke Campbell is getting the title shot. Any other fighter is a simply ranked fighter who has no rights, who is ranked, who is participating and moving in the rankings, but we are not stepping over anybody's rights. The only fighter with rights who won a final elimination bout was Luke Campbell, and he's fighting for the WBC Championship.
Okay, just final one on the Luke Campbell situation with the WBC. Eddie Hearn, as recently as about an hour ago, we spoke to Eddie. Eddie said that he found the decision ridiculous. Just your thoughts on that?
Look, I am not going to engage in a back and forth media circus with Eddie Hearn, because what he says is commonly it has a two... How do you say? I'm losing my English. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second.
That's no problem,
Double
Mauricio.
standards.
Okay.
Double standards. Eddie Hearn is the king of double standards.
Okay. Just moving away.
And you can go ahead and you can print that.
I will be sure to. No problem. Just moving away from the lightweight situation. We've also recently had the confirmation of Dillian Whyte versus Oscar Rivas. Eddie Hearn today saying that there's a potential for that to be for the WBC interim title. Just any update on that?
Can you please repeat?
So
I'm sorry, I could not understand.
No problem. So Dillian Whyte versus Oscar Rivas. Eddie Hearn spoke today about the possibility of that fight being for the WBC interim title, with the winner mandated to fight the winner of Deontay Wilder versus Dominic Brazil. Just if you had any update on that.
I had a meeting with Eddie Hearn in Las Vegas, and he is supposed to send a letter responding to the WBC's communications, and we have not received a letter.
So what was in that communications? Without obviously prying too much, was that to do with it being for an interim title? Was that still a possibility? Because he was due to fight Dominic Brazil for an interim title.
This is a highly complex situation because of the legal implications. So all I can tell you is that I've been having discussions with Dillian Whyte team and with Eddie Hearn, and he's supposed to address this officially through the proper channels and not by WhatsApp or by the media. So it's on the ball is on his court, and he has to send the official communication to the WBC.
Okay. Staying with the heavyweights, I spoke to you, I think, at the back end of last year about the WBC Clean Boxing Program and a certain Jarrell Miller not being involved in the WBC Clean Boxing Program for a number of years. He has since failed several drugs tests. Just your thoughts on that, and also just your thoughts on the Clean Boxing Program, how it's going at the minute, and what you're looking to do to continue to improve safety of fighters going forward.
Well, this is a perfect example. Miller was expelled from the WBC, I believe 2016, and that should have been a major red light for a promoter before contracting him for a major fight. He did not enroll in the clean boxing program twice. So he was expelled from the WBC, and now look at the huge mess that has created for Anthony Joshua. It's highly unfortunate, and we will continue our battle for clean boxing. There are so many fighters that are clean and are willing to be tested and are hoping to be tested and prove to the world they're clean, and we will continue with this incredible worldwide effort.
Okay, just moving away, this past weekend we saw the WBC World Middleweight Champion Canelo Alvarez added the IBF title to his waist. Just your thoughts on Canelo's performance?
It was a highly, high-level technical and tactical fight. It was not the type of fight which brings the fans to the feet with drama, but it was highly competitive. It was a close fight between two champions, and there are two types of fans. The fans that like the tactic and the technique and the boxing, and the fans that like the all-out brawl, which brings a lot of emotions. I think it was a good fight. It was a competitive fight, and Canelo won the fight.
What are your views going forward with Canelo? Obviously, Jamal Charlo currently holds the interim title. He's due to box Brandon Adams in June. Is there an interest from the WBC to potentially call Jamal Charlo to face Canelo Alvarez next, later in the year, perhaps?
Yes, the WBC has the interim championship, which we ordered in order to facilitate the rematch with Golovkin back then. And Canelo has been appointed as franchise champion, franchise boxer for the WBC. And we're going to be discussing this specific matter in the coming weeks and see what the status of the middleweight division will be.
Well, can you explain that to me? What is a franchise boxer, Mauricio? I've never heard that before.
No, it's a new concept that has been developed by the WBC, and it will be thoroughly explained in the coming weeks. But basically, it is a tag placed on fighters of an elite position who are, in a way, positioned and are fighting in different weight divisions and have a series of alternatives in their current career. So I will be elaborating more once we have the final communications available for the press. But I just wanted to mention this in order to give you an explanation regarding the middleweight division. But we will be going into further detail in the near future.
Okay, another WBC champion is in action this weekend. Francisco Vargas faces Miguel Burchell, the WBC super featherweight champion. Just your thoughts on that fight. It's a great fight. It's a great fight. It's a rematch. Burchell conquered the championship by knocking out Vargas. And this is going to be a highly expected fight. When you have two Mexicans in the ring, it's a guarantee that there will be fireworks. So we will see what happens, and both are very dear to the WBC, very hard-working, loyal, clean boxers, and I expect this to be a war. Okay, Mauricio, just finally, we're just a couple of weeks away, or less than a couple of weeks now, from Deontay Wilder's WBC World Heavyweight title defence against Dominic Breazeale. First and foremost, just break down that fight for me. Can you please repeat the question? Yeah, if you could just basically break down the Deontay Wilder versus Dominic Breazeale fight for me. Well, this is a very interesting fight. Wilder and Breazeale go back with a history of animosity. There's very bad blood between them. They had an encounter outside in the street in the hotel in a hotel during the fight, and they're tall. They can punch, and this could be delivered as a very interesting, entertaining heavyweight match on May 18th. Provided Deontay Wilder does come through and he does get past Dominic Breazeale, I mean, we've mentioned Dillian Whyte and Oscar Rivas fighting. If indeed that bout between Whyte and Rivas is made for the interim title, would the WBC look to enforce Deontay Wilder versus the winner of that fight perhaps later in the year?
Well, Dillian Whyte, we have been dealing with Dillian for a long time. I am very proud of him. He's a tremendous fighter. And of course, I personally would like to see Dillian Whyte fight for the championship.
And we've mentioned it earlier with Eddie Hearn and Luke Campbell. We've also mentioned Dillian Whyte. I think it's fair to say that Eddie Hearn and potentially some British boxing fans maybe feel slightly unfairly treated by the WBC with the likes of Lomachenko jumping up and facing Luke Campbell, with Dillian Whyte still waiting around for his WBC World Heavyweight title shot. Do you think they have grounds for their frustration?
Absolutely not. This is a biased, direct confrontation. Nobody is doing anything wrong to Luke Campbell, all to the contrary. As I mentioned, Luke Campbell is fighting for the WBC lightweight title. One thing is for the WBC ruling to be accepted. The other thing is for what a promoter wants to happen to be accepted. So I see absolutely an absolute. I'd rather not say anything else.
Okay.
All I can say is that we're treating as per the rules and regulations each of the cases, and I feel and I stand tall for every step that we have taken, and we have all the proof of anything that has to do with any case in any division.
Okay, I appreciate that. Just final question, Mauricio, because I know you're very busy. I do appreciate your time today. Anthony Joshua, should he come through against Andy Ruiz, and should Deontay Wilder come through against Dominic Breazeale? You've spoken to me in the past about your desire to see an undisputed world heavyweight title fight. Would that be something that you would be lobbying for potentially later on this year if Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder emerge through their bouts victorious? An undisputed world heavyweight title fight?
Well, we have done for a year and a half, and it is unfortunate that the path seems to be falling wider instead of closer to making this fight. This is the fight everyone wants to see, and it is very easy for the promoters to make it happen, and it's in the hands of the promoters for both sides. They should sit down and understand this is the fight that the world wants to see, and it's a fight that the fighters want to have, and it's easily done, but for some reason it keeps getting apart instead of getting closer to be done.
Where does Tyson Fury fit into that, Mauricio, if you don't mind me asking? Because obviously he was ordered to face Deontay Wilder. That fight didn't happen. Is that something that you're still interested in seeing, a potential Wilder-Fury rematch?
Of course, that would be a tremendous fight of high popular demand, and we did everything possible for this to happen. But again, the promoters, for some reason, they got rail sidetracked and didn't do the fight.
Okay, all right. Well, thanks very much for your time, Mauricio. I always appreciate you having me and discussing all things WBC related. So thanks very much for your time, and I look forward to catching up with you sometime soon.
Anytime, my friend, and thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mauricio.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.